Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, the Financial Fallout Diary. Today is the 22nd of March, and it's been happening a lot on the market, especially on the oil markets and in the global supply chain, especially around the war in Iran, or maybe it's not a war, maybe it's a special military operation. It's a little bit unclear, depends on who you're asking and at what time. So the Iranians have blocked like the biggest fairway of the oil transports, and this has started to fill through in the Swedish gas prices. So in Sweden we drive a lot of diesel cars, and the diesel prices is the one that has been gaining the most. In a couple of days ago you can fuel your car for about 15 Swedish crowns a liter. And now it's 24 Swedish crowns on a liter, so it's from maybe like 1.4 euros to 2.3 euros a liter, something like this. 2.2. And this will be a big problem. And on top of that, the markets has been going down. So when the markets go down this fast, the markets need liquidity. And then normally they sell. So what's been happening is that the gold and silver has been actually falling a lot. And this, some people think, is not supposed to be happening, that the gold and the silver is like a hedge, a protection against this. But when everything is falling down, people need to cover their positions. They go to something called a short squeeze, then they need liquidity, and then they normally sell precious metals like gold and silver. So this is what to be expected. So the silver was opening this week at around $80 an ounce, and it's closed around $68 an ounce. And if I don't remember completely wrong, the gold was around $5,000 an ounce, and it's around $4,500, something like this, an ounce. So in this new energy war climate, so for a couple of years ago when the Russians invaded the Ukraine in not a war but in a special military operations, again it depends a little bit who you ask, they started a energy problem for Europe because we needed our energy supplies for someone else. So we need some gas supplies from different places, and some of these places have been from the Middle East. And now this war in the Middle East, or a special military operation, depends who you ask, they have the same problem. So now we have a big problem in the European nations, because we have hard with our energy supply. And besides that, then as I told you last video, that the Swedish allies, or the Swedish, has started to siege Russian shadow ships. So now the Russians have started to do the same. So now in the Black Seas, or I don't know if the Black Seas is the right word, but we call it the Black Seas. In Sweden we call it the Svarta havet. So now it's the Black Seas, right? So the Russians has started to do the same. So they started seizing international ships in Svarta havet, or in the Black Seas. And this will be a big problem, I think. This will be pushing up the inflation's number a lot. I think what will happen now is that inflation will go up because of energy demand, and the energy supply is going down. And at the same time, some of the like the food and the food and the supplies we need in Europe has started to become really troubling, because now when the Russians are starting to attack the commercial vessels and start seizing them as we seize their commercial vessels, this could get a complete halt, because the insurance companies of the ships will go like, okay, we will not allow this. We will not allow you to go to these nations with the ships and under this insurance. So we will just stop doing it, and this could be a big problem. And this is also why it's really important to have your own like your own supplies of stuff. So you have your own food, you have your own grains, and you have it at home. Not like you can buy it, because it's easy to think when everything is working that I have money, and with money I can buy food. But in a situation like this, maybe it's, you know, even if you have the money, you cannot buy the food because the food doesn't exist. So it's important to use the good time to supply up on the stuff you need. And also, one of this is now starting to talk to more and more is the CBDCs. So the European nations are more and more talking about introducing they start more and more about to introduce the global currencies, or like digital currencies, as they can control and track. And this will also be a big problem, because then maybe you want to go to a different country, you want to move, you want to run away from war or something, and your government can just seize your money, just make it not to work anymore. So even in this situation, it becomes even more important to have more supplies for this, or like more plans to sort out a situation like this. And the best plan is always to have I heard this a lot of people think that it's a good plan to have different currencies, like you have the currencies in euros, in dollars, in this, and maybe some gold and maybe some silver. But this only works when supply chain works, because as long as you have food to buy, you can buy food. Now we have a bigger problem. This problem is maybe the food won't be there for a period of time. It's not like it's not going to be there forever, but it could be hard to get food for like a week or two, or maybe 3. And this, my friend, doesn't help you with currencies, because it doesn't matter what currency you have. If you have no food, you cannot buy anything for it. So this is important. And also, I have seen a lot of cyber attacks on the global infrastructure. I've seen in the central of Europe that they have been targeting the charger for electric cars. I also see that they have charged some payment system, like Visa and MasterCard payment system, stuff like this. So they have a little bit of trouble of this, and this is also state sponsored, if I understand it correctly. So they think that it's a hostile state that is doing this to, you know, to proceed and to get going with the stuff, you know, to disturb our markets. And this is actually working, because our markets is really it's not prepared for this. We are not prepared for this. I mean, the country for a whole, or countries as a whole, and people, today's people, they're not prepared for what's coming. I think this will be a problem, and I think this is not only for this war. I think this would be coming to us anyway, because we have bad demographics. So we will have this trouble anyway, because we will not be able to supply all these people with all the stuff what is needed. So this will be a big problem. And I don't know, I talked to my friends, some friends I have met playing games from Ukraine, and they tell me that they have a little bit better situation now. So their power outages are not so often anymore. Like this winter, they had like power for maybe like 1 hour, 2 hours or something like this a day. And now this like the opposite. So now they have like power for 20 hours a day, and maybe power outages for maybe 4 hours a day and something like this. So for there, they start to become better. And also that the supply of munitions that goes to the Russians to be used in the Ukraine war now goes to Iran instead. So if I understand it correctly, they have been seeing a drop-off of missiles and drones going into their countries, and this will be most happy for them, most careful for the Ukrainians, that can see some kind of happiness in this. And to be sincere and honest, like today the modern warfare is not possible to do in a big scale and in a long time, because we have not the industrial plant to build all the stuff that goes into a normal weapon system. You know, you need computer chips, you need rocket engine, rocket fuels, you need guiding systems, you know, all of this. So building a missile is a complex thing. It's a hard thing to do. Aside from like in the Second World War, when you just need like a shell and put some explosive in it and put it down a barrel down range. This will be really hard to sustain, actually. So we will see. So what I see is that modern warfare is not working for anyone. Everybody thought that modern warfare would work in a specific way, but actually it's just like really small drones that is really not so expensive, going around and doing Majak with everything. So this would be different what's going forward. And in Sweden, I tell you, and in my personal view, I see this in more expensive fuel prices right now, and I will see it in a different way. I think in the future I will see not only higher fuel prices, but also higher food prices and other necessities. And actually, not only higher prices. I think what could be happening in a couple of weeks is it will be hard to get some food supplies. Actually, I mean, in Sweden we are pretty self-sufficient in calories, so we can still eat like grains, you know, and stuff like this. So this we have food for, but maybe not like the higher end of stuff. Like we can have trouble getting tomatoes, peppers and stuff like this. So we'll see. But I think this will be all for today, and I see you next week. Thank you. Ciao.